one thing is certain about it. Only the people have the power to stop it, as a whole. Some of you may say, well, why should anyone want to stop hatred, or fear, or even bloodshed? Well, you just got to stop and check yourself out, and how you look at your neighbor, your brother, your sister, your fellow worker. And if you don't get the answer from your own experience, then look further and see how the next person is looking at another. And I'm sure you'll get the message.
The revolution wasn't televised in the 60s. Is it going to be televised in the 90s?
Well, you know, the catchphrase, what that was all about, the revolution will not be televised, that was about the fact that the first change that takes place is in your mind. You have to change your mind before you change the way you live and the way you move. So when we said that the revolution will not be televised, we were saying that, like, that the thing that's going to change people is something that no one will ever be able to capture on film. It'll just be something that you see, and all of a sudden you realize, I'm on the wrong page. Or I'm on the right page, but I'm on the wrong note. And I've got to get in sync with everyone else to understand what's happening in this country.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2026 Youth Tribunal. My name is LaWanda Rigby, and I will be your host for this evening's proceedings. On behalf of the Rotaract Club and the organizing committee, it is my pleasure to warmly welcome each of you to this event. Your presence here reflects a shared commitment to empowering our young people, encouraging meaningful dialogue, and shaping a brighter future for our communities and nation. We extend special recognition to our esteemed dignitaries, Honorable Jamel Robinson, Deputy Premier and Minister of Immigration and Border Services, Honorable Akira Mizik, Minister of Home Affairs, and all our invited guests, members of the media. A special thank you goes out to Open Thought Communications for providing live coverage for tonight's event. Your support highlights the importance of creating spaces where youth voices are heard, valued, and respected. Today's Youth Tribunal is inspired by our sister club in Grand Turk. It is a platform created for engagement, advocacy, and spirited debate. Our goal is to provide young people with the opportunity to discuss critical issues, share innovative ideas, and contribute to conversations that are impacting our future. Now, let's get into tonight's topic. Should the Turks and Caicos Islands prioritize controlling the cost of living over economic growth? We will be hearing from 15 passionate and engaging speakers, so prepare yourselves for an evening of lively discussion, bold perspectives, and thought-provoking debate. This tribunal is designed to foster informed, confident, and active young leaders who are ready to inspire positive change within our nation. So as we begin, we encourage respectful dialogue, open-minded discussion, and active participation from everyone here tonight. Together, let us make Youth Tribunal 2026 impactful, inspiring, and productive. Thank you, and welcome once again. At this time, we are going to call on Ms. Onelia Richards to lead us in a moment of prayer. And as we invite the Lord into this place, I ask that we stand in reverence for the Lord.
Good evening, everyone. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for allowing us to gather here this evening. We thank you for the body of believers that are gathered here in this church. We thank you for the youths of these Turks and Caicos Islands that are here this evening to make a difference, Lord God. We thank you that they are able to speak up and speak out against matters that are important to the residents here of these Turks and Caicos Islands. Lord, I ask that your wisdom will be poured out on your people, dear Lord. Your word says that we should not despise the youth because they are young, Lord God. But you have given us talents and gifts, dear Jesus, that we may put to use to occupy well until you come. And so, Lord, we thank you. We thank you. We thank you for the youths that are gathered here in today. Lord, we know that they say that youths are the future. They come and they speak for the tomorrow, but they are here to speak on matters of today. And so we thank you, Lord God, that they are not despised for their youth. They're not looked down for their youth, but they are here to speak up and speak out and to make a change in these Turks and Caicos Islands. So, Lord God, we ask that you will bless the proceedings. Let your will be done, dear Lord God. I come against the spirit of self-doubt, Lord, against imposter syndrome, dear Jesus. I pray that these youths will speak up, Lord God, and let their truth be heard. We thank you, Lord. Bless the proceedings. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Richards. We welcome Ms. Aaliyah Elliott, who will lead us as we sing the national anthem and song, shortly followed by Ms. Nadika Mizik, President-elect of the Rotaract Club, to deliver her remarks.
God save our gracious King, long live our noble King. God save the King. Send him victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save the King. Oh, we salute this land of ours, our country we declare, this promised land with its beauties grand, though small it is our own. Turks and Caicos, Turks and Caicos, our country firm and free. Our allegiance, Turks and Caicos, we pledge and we affirm. Our people forged and blend with multiplicity of race and kind and creed and tongue, united by our goals. From the east, west, north, and south, our banks and oceans meet, surrounding sands and hills of glee, our pristine beauty sees. Turks and Caicos, Turks and Caicos, our country firm and free. Our allegiance, Turks and Caicos, we pledge and we affirm. We stand with courage brave to maintain this land of ours, with islands scattered here and there, with trust in God we stand. Turks and Caicos, Turks and Caicos, our country firm and free. Our allegiance, Turks and Caicos, we pledge and we affirm. Our allegiance, Turks and Caicos, we pledge and we affirm.
Thank you, Ms. Elliott. We call on Ms. Nadika Mizik, President-elect of the Rotaract Club.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Protocol already established. Distinguished guests, community leaders, members of the Rotaract Club of Providenciales, partners, viewers, and to the dynamic youths participating in tonight's Youth Tribunal, welcome. It is an honor to welcome you to this impactful and timely event hosted by the Rotaract Club of Providenciales in partnership with Open Talk TV. Tonight we gather not simply for discussion, but for meaningful civic engagement, the kind that strengthens communities, inspires leadership, and shapes the future of the Turks and Caicos Islands. The topic before us tonight is both bold and deeply relevant. Should the Turks and Caicos Islands prioritize controlling the cost of living over rapid economic growth? This is not merely an economic question. It is a social question, a leadership question, and ultimately a human question. As our country continues to develop and expand, many citizens are asking important questions about affordability, opportunity, sustainability, and quality of life. And who better to lead this conversation than the young adults of this nation? Individuals who are actively asking important questions and also navigating the realities of today while preparing to shape the possibilities of tomorrow. This evening, participants represent a generation that is informed, ambitious, innovative, and unafraid to confront complex issues. This platform allows their voices, perspectives, and ideas to contribute meaningfully to national dialogue, and that is something truly worth celebrating. To our audience, watching both in person and live, we encourage you to listen openly, reflect critically, and engage respectfully with the perspectives shared this evening. Constructive dialogue remains one of the most powerful tools for progress. And to our participants, tonight is your moment to speak with confidence, challenge ideas with respect, and demonstrate leadership potential that exists within the youth and young professionals of these islands. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being part of this important evening. Welcome to the Turks and Caicos Islands 2026 Youth Tribunal. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mizik. I'm going to call on President of the Rotaract Club, Andy Mizik, to lead us in the Rotary Protocol.
Can everyone stand? We start with the Rotary Grace. O God, giver of all good, we thank thee for our daily food. May Rotaract friends and Rotaract ways help us to serve thee all our days. Now the four-way test of the things we say or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Mizik. We would like to welcome Ms. Jatavia Hall, Director of Youth, to the stage to offer her remarks, shortly followed by remarks from Honorable Jamel Robinson, Deputy Premier of the Turks and Caicos Islands and Minister of Immigration and Border Force.
Accepting the protocol already established, good evening, everyone. First off, isn't this an amazing event? Yeah? a real opportunity for young people to openly share our thoughts on the future and the betterment of the Turks and Caicos Islands. As I always say, the youth knows best, because many of us experience these issues firsthand. We feel the cost of groceries, transportation, rent, and opportunities in real time. We speak from lived experiences, fresh perspectives, and a genuine desire to see the country thrive for the generations to come. I want to commend the Rotaract Club of Providenciales and Open Thought TV for creating a platform that not only encourages civic engagement and critical thinking, but provides meaningful national dialogue. Too often, young people are told that we are the leaders of tomorrow. But events like this remind us that we are the contributors of today. Our voices matter now. Our opinions matter now. And our participation in conversations like this is critical to national development. Tonight's topic: should the Turks and Caicos Islands prioritize controlling the cost of living over rapid economic growth, is one of the most relevant discussions facing our country. Economic growth is important, but so is ensuring that our people can genuinely benefit from the growth and maintain a good quality of life. This conversation challenges us to think deeper about balance, about sustainability, opportunity, and equity. To the participants this evening, I encourage you to speak boldly, respectfully, and authentically. Don't be afraid to challenge ideas, ask questions, and most of all, offer solutions. Some of the greatest changes in society begin when courageous conversations just like this one. As a director of youth affairs and also a proud Rotaractor, it is truly encouraging to see young leaders, professionals, entrepreneurs, and advocates gathered here tonight, using their voices not for division, but for progress. I wish everyone the best throughout this tribunal, and I look forward to hearing the incredible perspectives that will emerge from tonight's discussion. I thank you.
Thank you, our Youth Director, Ms. Jatavia Howell. I now call on Honorable Jamel Robinson to offer his remarks.
Good evening, everyone. Let's try that again. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Making sure everybody's still here. Protocol having been already established, it is a pleasure to join you for the inaugural Youth Tribunal 2026. I wish to commend the Rotaract Club of Providenciales, its president Andy Mizik, and all of the organizers for hosting this important initiative, which creates a meaningful platform for dialogue, civic engagement, and youth participation in national development. Tonight's topic: should the Turks and Caicos Islands prioritize controlling the cost of living over rapid economic growth, speaks directly to one of the most pressing conversations taking place not only here in the Turks and Caicos Islands, but across the world. As a country, we continue to experience economic growth, investment, and development across all sectors. However, we also recognize that growth must be meaningful, inclusive, and felt by our people. Economic progress must ultimately translate into improved quality of life, greater opportunities, and increased stability for our citizens and residents alike. It is therefore encouraging to see young, progressive leaders, professionals, entrepreneurs, and youth advocates coming together to thoughtfully discuss these issues and contribute perspectives on the future direction of our nation. healthy debate, and constructive dialogue are essential pillars of our democracy. Events such as these help to empower young people to become informed, engaged, and active participants in national discourse and decision-making. I am especially encouraged to see our youth, whom are both our present and our future, take an interest in matters of governance, economic policy, and social development. Your voices matter. Your perspectives are valuable, and your involvement in shaping the future of these islands is both necessary and appreciated. It is my hope that every presentation this evening provides not only a critique of our current reality, but also provides clear, common sense solutions that a progressive government such as ours can act on. Let me be clear. The Turks and Caicos government remains committed to pursuing development that is people-centered, balanced, and sustainable, while continuing to create opportunities that benefit current and future generations. I encourage all participants this evening to engage respectfully, listen thoughtfully, and contribute meaningfully to this discussion. Once again, I commend the organizers for this initiative and thank everyone gathered here and those tuning in via Open Thought TV for being a part of this important national conversation. May God continue to bless you all, and may God continue to bless these beautiful by nature Turks and Caicos Islands. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Robinson, for your remarks. Good evening again, everyone. So before we officially begin, we're going to warm things up with a little interactive activity I like to call Stand for Your Side. The rules are simple. I'm going to read a few statements connected to today's topic, and depending on your viewpoint, you will briefly rise to show where you stand. And don't worry, there are no right or wrong answers. We just want your participation and expression. So let's gear up, and we're going to see the different perspectives in the room with us tonight. You all ready? All right. If you love the Lord, stand up. All right, except for Honorable Ike, we acknowledge. All right. Okay, you get the rules, all right. Just checking. All right. My first question. If you believe the cost of living is affecting young people more than ever before, stand up. Okay, all right. You may be seated. If you believe economic growth has benefited everyone equally in the Turks and Caicos Islands, stand up. Not a soul, eh? All right. If you believe economic growth creates more opportunities for young people, stand up. Good, good. You may be seated. If you think economic growth and affordable living can happen at the same time, stand up. Oh, everybody, eh? So, all right. Thank you so much for your participation. That concludes our warm-up. I'm going to invite Ms. Sephora Valcourt, who is our timekeeper. She is seated at the back at the lovely red tables. She is going to give us an overview of the ground rules of the debate. So speakers, listen closely.
Good evening, everyone. As mentioned, I will now outline the ground rules regarding the time allowed for contributions. Speakers. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to present their argument or contribution. Speakers are encouraged to organize their points clearly and concisely within the allotted time. A bell will ring when your 3 minutes begin. Can you hear that? The bell will ring once more to indicate that you have 30 seconds remaining. At the end of the allotted time, a signal will be given, after which the host will thank you for your contribution. Once the 3-minute limit has been reached, speakers are expected to conclude immediately. Microphones may be muted if a speaker significantly exceeds the allotted time. The host reserves the right to respectfully intervene in order to maintain fairness and the smooth flow of the program. All speakers will receive equal speaking time regardless of position, opinion, or stance. Speakers are expected to respect the time allocated to others. Deliberate attempts to interrupt timing procedures may result in intervention by the host or coordinators. Speakers, you are encouraged to prepare key points beforehand, avoid reading lengthy statements, remain focused on the topic, speak clearly, confidently, and respectfully. Audience, this is for you. Audience interruption during a speaker's allotted time will not be permitted. Applause and reactions should remain respectful and brief in order to preserve timing. We encourage that these be reserved for after a speaker has concluded their speech. We look forward to hearing each of your contributions. Best of luck.
So our topic today is, should the Turks and Caicos Islands prioritize controlling the cost of living over rapid economic growth? I'm calling on speakers 1 to 5. Andy Mizik, Donnie Gardner Jr., Herkima Adams, Shanaria Morris, Joanna Preville. Please join us on the stage. Slight change of plans. We're going to have Ms. Tess Childs perform a poem called Home People, and then our speakers will speak. Please welcome Ms. Tess Childs to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. Hi. My name is Crystal Charles, and I am a voice of Turks and Caicos. Tonight, I have the privilege of making my live debut as an orator with my latest installment of Thoughts, Poems, and Prayers, a body of expression that has been accumulated over many years that I've now decided to share. We are in the month of May, a time that should stand in honor of one official national hero, the Right Excellent, James Alexander George Smith McCartney, affectionately known. It is a time to celebrate ourselves as a people, reflect on our ideologies as a country, and see how to move forward, carrying the past with us as a motivator to either be like or switch up a bit from the man that we call the father of our nation. Yet over time, I find that the story of the man behind the movement has been softened and reshaped a little, until many of us know only pieces of who he truly was and what really happened. And perhaps that is something we often do, not only to our hero, but to one another. We tend to believe greatness belongs to a certain kind of person, when in truth, our people have always been more complex than that. We are imperfect, gifted, resilient, spirited people, shaped by faith, heritage, struggle, and grace. Still, in our ways, we continue to create excellence worth remembering and celebrating. This piece is rooted in truth and celebration. Some parts may challenge familiar narratives, probably make you cringe a little bit. But truth doesn't lessen our legacy. It's our community and the beauty found within it all. With that said, here's a poem for you. Home people, melanated hues. Can you hear me? Home people look like melanated hues. Some of them black and some white, like Fox News. Some born so, some bleached so. Marisa and Punky could have passed for both, you know. Home people smell like good food and good. and soul horns, Johnny cakes, souse fish and grits Saturday morn, PDM and PNP like names matter, although our slave masters give them to we. Home people look like flora and fauna, the women's lobster tails getting bigger and bigger, the dainty flowers dripped in shade, but look. Our boy Columbus sought out their sorrows before we knew which ship we were in. Home like me and you, the Bahamians, Bermudians, Gullah Geechee people too. Home like soil planting potato bread, outhouse, Elvis, and fever grass, rat root, brasilita, and drink them Saturday and double when you're sick. Home people sound proud, big voices and compassionate with sweet hearts and filled with good for nothing men who don't love their wife like how they love their sweet hearts. Home people feel like sunshine in the morning and lay down in your bed when it rains. Home people feel like government workers always asking when government paying. Home people look like they love, hair like silk and skin like milk. South-based babies and troubadour survivors, black fluffy bodies, beautiful like the stars. We feel like warm hugs and belly laughs after someone passed. Family reunions for funeral and wedding. Cousins making dozens and wrong daddy sharing. We taste like soup with plenty things. We sound like Queen Conch blowing for fish or hurricane. One of the greatest leaders of our time, mommy named Miss Mary Jane. Home people sound like Ma, Pa, Mara, and Farah, Sarit, Norrit, and Easton, and Wested. We sound like we love white Jesus status more than we practice it. Home people feel like grace, extended mostly to oneself and family. However, you, no, we won't let you live down nothing from 30 years ago. Yet, we have short memories for colonizers, thieves, and rapists, and so and so. Ho, ho, ho. The amount of children don't get filled up by teachers, pastors, and your brothers and sisters. Not everybody listening to this part asking could be. No. Thrive on confusion, but turn right around and don't like confrontation. That's why we quick to decomplexify our issues with Haitians. Not addressing our lack of strength in culture or celebration, or of sellout culture and sometimes over accommodation, not to mention their lack of assimilation, because it's not required by those who we have sired with the ability to curate and change this nation. All the while we row on one another, our heart's humanity erodes like Leeward Beach, because without strength and identity and self-determination, we could never accept nor set the standard for those we teach. Anyway, because we don't really like fix nothing, we just to say, God is good. Correct. Home people sound like the Ripsaw, the Shakers, and the Goatskin Drum. Sound like Yoruba tribes where we are from. We sound like Bambara Rum. We sound like Big Dirty Squawks and Family Time, nice houses and clean kitchens, 2 living rooms, 5 meats, 4 rice, and 8 sides on Sunday, diabetes, hypertension, and obesity boxing you on Monday. Home people look like caves and the world's best beaches, little drugs, big guns, and maybe not enough snitches. Home people are gay and lesbian and pan. You don't need to accept in a family and move on, man. Home people sound like the world's greatest storytellers and chefs. By time we add a little razzle-dazzle to the story and the food, we didn't realize the truth on buds. So, Mirage, seafood haven, or a harbor house. Who worries about the truth when you're eating sound like Blythe and Bill Clinton. Hilly Ewing, Nathaniel Bops Francis and Jags know what they was doing. Double O, things I've heard. This man who we chose to serve, the man that had the wit, the man that had the nerve. Home people sound like of physics. They are honorable, no one doubts, each and all. And with them, our first pilots, sailors, boats, and peacemakers' names should be called. Home people sound like MC Expo, Crab Fest, and Regatta, Rake and Scrape, Cactus Fest, Sulky Day, and Courtney Show's Extravaganza. Home people look like they lazy, because how many years Shanice was still Miss Turks and Caicos, baby? Rest in peace to Ulio the visionary. The energy and excellence is amiss. Healing energy to Cass Forbes and creatives who are listening to this. Home people sound, look, and feel like you. The exquisite and the gifted few. The artists and the talents that fight the good fight, that come to this land after they've taken flight, always thinking they can enhance and shine a light, but when we reach down and pull anyone up, it's a hell of a fight. Home people look like David Bowen, honored in Japan, but not here yet. I'll just leave that here because I soon change that. Home people are warm and beautiful, pristine. They are the truth and the best liars. Somebody wife know what I mean. Sometimes docile with bad mind, that's why we love call the queen. One day I doubt I'll be around, but we will stand firm and free. Home people accepting exactly who they be will one day, someday be the only key. Home people make up both you and me, and forever a home person I will be. My name is Crystal Charles, and I am a voice of Turks and Caicos. Thank you.
That was Home People by Ms. Tess Charles, the voice of Turks and Caicos. We're going to start our portion. Mic check, 1, 2. Sorry, guys. We're going to start our speaking portion. I'm going to hand the mic over to our speakers.
With the call already. 1, 2, 1, 2. I hope they ain't coming out my time. 1, 2, 1, 2. You ready? Huh? Oh, the bell. Okay. No problem. Yeah, ready. With the protocol already established, good night, Turks and Caicos. The timekeeper told me I have 3 minutes. I promise to do it in 10. Turks and Caicos, we cannot continue becoming a country where man spends all day working to build luxury and goes home and tells his wife, baby, I'm sorry, I can't afford to pay the rent. Trees on the table. The way we imported so much of our survival that we forgot how to survive on our own. We are so dependent on other countries. When America, we catch the flu even when we're taking our vitamin C. Produce almost nothing. To the point at which I reflect past, every home within the Turks and Caicos had a fruit tree in the backyard, had a farmer in the home, had someone that was a fisherman, and that was produced by our own hands. And that is why I believe agriculture, food security, and local production must become national priorities moving forward. Not tomorrow, now. If we are serious about building a stronger future, then we must create policies, industries, encourage buy local initiatives by encouraging hotels, supermarkets, and large businesses to purchase more goods from local farmers, fishermen, and producers wherever possible. We must also invest heavily in incentive for local farmers, small business owners, and entrepreneurs. Because right now, too many young people believe success only comes from a 9 to 5. We must create a generation of business owners, entrepreneurs, because the reality is, strengthening local industries through buy local initiatives because they understand something powerful. Stronger local production creates stronger nations. If we fail to act now, the economy will continue to boom. Wealth will continue to spread. We will continue to brag about record-breaking budgets. Guess what? People will continue to suffer because progress is not progress when our people are not living in dignity, raising their families in stability, and believe this future belongs to them. Thank you.
Just ask for some apologies for the mic, and I apologize to the guys listening online. We're going to get the audio sorted shortly. Now we have speaker 2 coming to the podium. Thank you.
One moment, please. Speakers, a brief reminder, limit your movements as much as you can and speak directly into the mic to avoid all this feedback, okay? Ready?
Accepting the protocol already established, good evening, everyone. I want to add a special good evening to my Member of Parliament for Leeward and Long Bay. Ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and sisters of the Turks and Caicos Islands, many of us grew up around Sunday dinner. You could smell the food before you even sit at the table. Fried fish, baked chicken, peas and rice, macaroni salad, potato salad, family filling the house, laughter coming from every corner. And one thing we all understood was this: when the table was prepared, everybody was supposed to eat. Now imagine watching that table growing fuller every year, more food added, more guests arriving, and then realizing that some members of the family can see the food, can smell the food, can hear about the food, but have not been able to sit at the table and enjoy the food. That image came to mind, reflected on tonight's topic. At first, my reaction was, why are we choosing? But that question, as reasonable as it sounds, is revealing something we need to talk about. It reveals that right now, in one of the fastest growing economies in the Caribbean, many of the people who were born here barely afford to stay here. Think about that. Our islands are so desirable that a median 2-bedroom home costs close to $1 million. Building materials cost up to double what they cost in the United States. Non-resident investors have driven up land prices, stamp duty revenue has more than doubled in a decade, and the government is now discussing subsidized housing just so belongers have a fighting chance at home. Here's what I want you to sit with. We already have a consumer protection ordinance. It bans misleading prices. It bans unconscionable conduct. It says a provider cannot charge a price that grossly exceeds that what is similar goods are available for to like consumers. The legal structure, the legal architecture for consumer protection already exists. And yet, the same groceries in IGA still cost more than a Walmart. Electricity bills remain among the highest in the region, and families are being priced out of the islands they call home. Today, that tells us that a problem is not a lack of consumer protection. The problem is what kind of growth are we choosing to build? I've run out of time, but I wanted to offer 3 solutions. First, workforce housing tied to development. Secondly, stronger use of the Consumer Protection Ordinance, which already gives government the power to collect, analyze, and publish information relating to trade and consumer rights. Third, I'll end here, expand workforce development and ownership pathways for Turks and Caicos Islanders. Because the true success of a nation is not measured by how fast it grows. It's measured by whether its people are able to grow with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. You push it. All right. We're calling Hakima Adams.
Ready?
Ladies, gentlemen, part. Should Turkey prioritize controlling the cost of living? The operative word here is control, and it suggests the fantasy of a Turks and Caicos Islands bubble. Control of living. What makes our position particularly unique is that we feel this pressure twice over as an import-reliant economy. Nevertheless, in our control to mitigate rising costs have already been taken shape in our policy and efforts. And while time does not permit me to name them all, across several fronts, targeted action is already underway. Essentials are more affordable with a permanently reduced fuel tax and zero-rate custom fees on breadbasket items. We are strengthening agriculture and food security through grants and the introduction of an agro-park program giving local farmers access to government land at zero cost. Energy reform boasts a $1.25 million budget allocation in this fiscal, and we can expect a renewable energy bill before Parliament. Our inaugural international trade variety show last year signaled a commitment to diversifying trade partners and strengthening ties with prospects like the Dominican Republic. Not to mention our welfare programs, our efforts toward a credit union, mortgage corporation, and affordable turnkey housing development. I can go on, but we only have 3 minutes. So let's move on to the latter half of the proposition, cost of living over rapid economic growth. And here, the motion loses the argument entirely. We have already pivoted away from rapid economic growth, placing a moratorium on concessions for new large-scale tourism developments in Providenciales, and introducing a strategy to redirect growth across the archipelago. What we are seeing is a deliberate transition, not a retreat from growth. Cost of living requires either government spending or foregone revenue. And in a jurisdiction with no broad-based tax, that can only be offset by economic growth. I will not dismiss the strain we as residents feel, but the facts demand we acknowledge this. Inflation is not a local phenomenon, and the tides of global markets do not answer to our policy. Notwithstanding that this motion is by all accounts fashionably late, I leave you with a familiar caution. Be careful what you wish for, because the moment we deprioritize growth, we defund the very solutions we are standing here debating. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hakima Adams. We now welcome speaker number 4, Shanaria Morris. Are you ready?
One second.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shanara Morris, and I stand here before you not just as a speaker, but as a common Turks Islander with a common desire. New development rises, opportunities looks endless, and the world outside the Turks and Caicos Islands looks like a dream. But then I say, come stay, come live here. Let me show you image, because behind this image is a different living, rises faster than opportunities, where hard work doesn't always equal stability, where many are not failing, they are simply being outpaced. So the question before us is quite simple. Should we prioritize the cost of living over rapid economic growth? My answer is yes, because growth without stability is not progress, it is pressure. And when cost of living is too high, people stop planning, risk-taking declines, ownership becomes harder to reach. And when that happens, we lose capacity, the ability to build, create, and move forward. But more importantly, what can we do? First, prioritize affordability as a national strategy, not just broad ideas, but targeted actions. For example, introducing a price transparency system to make pricing transparent so essential goods markups stay fair. I understand the express we already require development to contribute to a national housing cost relief fund that directly offsets rising for residents. Because when living becomes manageable, people gain control of their future. Second, build growth that includes our people. Growth should not only attract investments, it should create participation. For example, establishing a national investment platform, islanders can invest small amounts into earn returns over time and become stakeholders in their own economy. Investing in skilled training tied directly into growing because growth because so I catch up, not just with an opinion, but with it by experience and ambition, an entrepreneur of this land. Growth should work for us, not around us.
Thank you to speaker number 4. I'd like to tell our online audience that we are going to take a break just so we can get our audio in place.
Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so we're gonna try and workshop something else.
Start from the beginning? Okay. All right. Today, support that the should prioritize controlling the cost of living, rapid economic growth. Layout. Economic growth is, like I mentioned, because it creates opportunities and strengthen infrastructure, attract investments, and contributes to national development. And again, according to our government's budget, the Turks and Caicos is currently growing very strongly with a projected revenue of $550 million. However, growth is not what we only need. Growth alone is not enough. Because while the economy may be expanding, many of our people feel as though they are struggling to keep up. Across these islands, hardworking citizens faces the reality of the rising grocery prices, increasing rent, higher electricity, fuel costs, and the growing uncertainty about whether they can realistically afford to build a secure future in the country they call home. And the reality must remain at our center of our national conversation. The success of a nation should not be measured solely by the rising revenue. It should also be measured by its people's well-being. Can young people afford housing? Can families save instead of living paycheck to paycheck? Can hardworking Turks Islanders live a stable and secure lives for themselves and their children? These are just some of the questions that create or define meaningful progress. This is why our priorities should continue to focus on growth that is inclusive, practical, and people-centered. We must invest more heavily in local agriculture, fisheries to strengthen food security and reduce dependence on imported goods while creating employment opportunity. We should continue to develop and to incorporate affordable housing into major projects. We should also expand vocational training, entrepreneurship initiative so more people are empowered to participate directly in the nation's economic success. These are some of the things our Turks Islanders are asking for. They're asking for an economy that works for them, not around them. They're asking to feel the benefits of the country in their everyday lives through affordable housing, manageable living expenses, and greater financial stability. Above all, they are asking for progress that is not visible in statistics, but felt through the homes, futures of the ordinary Turks and Caicos Islanders. But because no matter how fast an economy grows, if the people themselves are struggling to survive within it, then that growth remains incomplete. So yes, let's continue to develop. Let's continue to attract investment. Let's continue to grow as a nation. But let us ensure that the well-being of our people remains the foundation of national progress. Because in the end, the true strength of Turks and Caicos Island will not be measured solely by the economy size, but by the ability of its people to live with dignity, security, and confidence for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Andy Mizik, Donnie Gardner, Herkima Adams, Denaria Morris. Thank you for your contribution. So our topic today is, should the Turks and Caicos Islands prioritize controlling the cost of living over rapid economic growth? Calling 210, Louis Serpas, Judah Rigby, Kendley Smith, Ariana Ford, Jim Feddens, Sinflet. Speaker 6 to the podium, please.
Readjust that shot. You should be fine because we're behind. Good now. All right, Lewis. You good? All right, are you ready?
Are you ready?
Protocol having been established, good evening. Today I stand firmly in support of the motion that the Turks and Caicos Islands should prioritize controlling the cost of living over rapid economic growth. Economic growth sounds attractive. More hotels, more investors, bigger GDP numbers. But what is the value of growth if all citizens cannot afford groceries, rent, electricity, or a decent standard of living? The true measure of a successful economy is not how fast it grows, but how well its people can live within it. The Turks and Caicos Islands has experienced a strong economic expansion, driven mainly by tourism and foreign investment. Yet many residents still face a difficult reality. Life is becoming increasingly expensive. Because our country depends heavily on imported food, fuel, and household goods, prices remain high. Many working families struggle with rent, groceries, utility bills, and transportation costs, especially due to the fact that we do not have public transportation. That tells us something important. Economic growth is not automatically improving the quality of life. Rapid expansion often benefits investors, developers, and luxury tourism sectors first. Without policies to control living costs, working class citizens can be left behind. Take housing as an example. Tourism growth increases demand for land and rentals, pushing property prices higher and making affordable housing harder for local residents to access, especially after the boom of Airbnb is taking up apartments and buildings that could be used for affordable housing. Tourism can also raise prices across the economy because businesses adjust to tourist spending power, while wages do not always rise at the same pace. I will acknowledge our growth from $6.25 to $8 for the minimum wage. However, has that helped us to catch up with rising prices? With the ever-increasing rent prices of about $2,000 for a one-bedroom apartment, or even $7 a gallon for gas? If citizens must spend more of their income simply surviving, then growth loses its meaning. However, prioritizing cost of living does not mean rejecting economic growth. It means choosing balanced growth, investing in affordable housing, supporting local agriculture and fisheries, reducing import dependence, and ensuring economic gains benefit citizens directly. This issue is also about social stability. High living costs increases financial stress, inequality, and public dissatisfaction. A nation where people feel economically excluded cannot sustain healthy long-term development. By contrast, a country that prioritizes affordability builds stronger families, a stronger workforce, and a more resilient economy. Growth should serve people, but people should not be sacrificed for growth. In conclusion, while economic growth matters, it should never come at the expense of citizens' ability to live affordably and with dignity within the Turks and Caicos Islands. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker number 6. I now call on Speaker number 7, Judah Rigby.
Good evening. Just before I start, I just want to give a quick shout out to some of the big giants in the room, Mr. Andy Mizik, Mr. Antoine Walking. I think I'm the youngest person here, and they were really motivational for me, just being able to look up to as I began, I guess, this journey in my life. So big shout out to them. Earlier today, during the icebreaker, almost everyone in the room stood up to agree that economic growth and affordability can exist at the same time. Let me quell your nerves and just let you know that you were right. But there's an argument being made that easing the squeeze of cost of living must be our absolute highest priority, even if it means pulling back on our economic momentum. The claim is that we must collectively slow development to make life more affordable. That sounds compassionate. It's not. It's a trap. Between 1970 and 1980, when they restricted foreign investment and prioritized price controls over productivity. They didn't get affordability, they got stagflation, capital flight, and a generation of economic stagnation. Price controls without production is just rationing scarcity. Those advocating for a slowdown want the Turks and Caicos to shrink to a smaller wallet. When Barbados fiercely prioritized a thriving market between 2021 and 2025, they slashed their poverty rate from 20% down to 12.6%. And as we gather right here in the Turks and Caicos, we see that we have the opportunity to cut our cost of living if we continue to push the same trends that we see being done all across the Caribbean. Generating national wealth is the only proven instrument to dismantle poverty at scale. So here's what it looks like for the Turks and Caicos. Number one, housing. This May, in 2026, the TCI national housing policy requires roughly 600 new units annually. You cannot build 600 homes a year on a stagnant economy. You fund them with the tens of millions of dollars that you collect in stamp duties generated directly from a thriving real estate market. One finances the other. Second, energy. Our renewable energy bill targets 33% clean energy by exactly 2040. We see this working with the new solar microgrids that you see in Blue Hills and in Bottle Creek. But transitioning a national grid requires massive upfront capital, which comes from targeted foreign investment, not from slowing down. We are not choosing growth over our people, we're choosing growth for our people. Without it, living in the Turks and Caicos becomes impossible to advance. We must not shrink our ambitions to match the cost of living, we must grow our economy to defeat it. We cannot prioritize the cost of living over rapid economic growth because the financial process is the engine of the solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker number 7, Judah Rigby. I now call on Speaker number 8, Kenley Smith.
Hey, some bright lights up here, you know.
Begin.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The protocol having already been established. You know, there's something funny in how we talk about economies, you know? We always hear these buzzwords, you know, growth, record-breaking GDPs, foreign investment, booming markets. And when you hear those words, they say, everything is great. But if an economy is doing well, why are people working full-time jobs and still unable to afford rent, food, and survival? Can a country call its economy successful if the people cannot afford to survive in it? I raise the point that an economy is not good unless its citizens can afford basic necessities like housing, food, healthcare, and utilities. The purpose of an economy is to serve the people, not to be a statistic to pat ourselves on the back. The United Nations Development Program, or UNDP, created a Human Development Index, specifically because GDP alone does not measure well-being. It adds life expectancy and education because income alone is not enough. This matters because we see contradictions in real economies today. For example, let's look at our neighbors in the United States. One of the highest GDP economies in the world, according to the International Monetary Fund. But still, millions of people experience food insecurity and high healthcare costs. So the real question becomes this: if growth increases national income on paper, but that growth is accompanied by rising rent, higher food prices, and widening inequality, who is it actually benefiting? Economic growth is not inherently bad, but when it comes at the expense of affordability for the lower class, it stops being development and it becomes displacement. A rising GDP does not matter if citizens cannot afford housing, groceries, or basic services in their country. So the priority should not be choosing against growth, but choosing balanced development, where cost of living, wage growth, and access to essentials are treated as core economic indicators and not as afterthoughts. To cut a long story short, economic growth does not equal economic well-being, right? Those are two different things. GDP can rise while inequality increases and affordability worsens. This is why institutions like the World Bank use different indicators and not just NDP to assess development. So if a country's economy is growing, but the citizens cannot afford housing, food, or healthcare, then that is not meaningful growth for the people. So when we say the economy is strong, we need to ask for who. Because an economy can build skyscrapers, it can attract investment, and still cannot afford to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Cutting it very close. All right. We have speaker number 9, Ms. Ariana Forbes, coming to the podium.
Good evening, everyone. Have you ever heard the saying, you can't pit two baddies against each other? That is the basis for my answer today. We should not choose one over the other. Instead, the TCI must pursue economic growth that improves cost of living and the quality of life for its people. There lies an important intersection between development and economic growth. Economic growth means nothing if the average person still struggles to afford housing, groceries, and even access to opportunities. Inflation has affected countries all over the world, so the government must have a clear strategy that ensures economic growth that benefits Turks and Caicos Islanders, not just investors and large corporations. One of the best examples of this is Singapore. Singapore transformed a small developing nation into one of the world's strongest economies by making growth strategic and people-focused. The government invested heavily into education and technical training to prepare citizens for high-paying industries. They supported local businesses with grants and required foreign companies to contribute to the workforce development and local talent advancement. This is the type of balanced approach that we should aim for. In the TCI, we must ensure that our people are not only employees in the economies, but owners and leaders within it. For example, the government can expand access to SME grants and entrepreneurship programs through agencies such as Invest TCI. Entrepreneurship should also be introduced more strongly in schools so that young people understand how to build businesses from early. We also need to help small businesses become industry players. Too many local businesses remain small because they lack access to capital and opportunities within industries like tourism and construction. Policies should encourage hotels and major companies to purchase more products and services locally so that the money stays within our country. Additionally, companies operating in the TCI should have a stronger corporate social responsibility. Many companies benefit from our tourism industry and our economy, but they never contribute to the development of our people. This is a reality that we can no longer afford to ignore. The highest paying jobs are often filled by foreign talent because there's gaps in our local training. The government can and should require larger companies to invest in mentorship programs and succession planning for the Turks and Caicos Islanders. Businesses should actively prepare locals for management and executive positions instead of limiting them to entry-level roles. But this responsibility does not only rest with the government. At the individual level, we must also take advantage of the opportunities that are available to us. Young people go to the community college that is free and pursue certifications, partake in internships, dive into entrepreneurship. We must become adaptable and prepare to compete in the changing economy. In conclusion, the Turks and Caicos should not prioritize controlling cost of living instead of economic growth. We should pursue economic growth that lowers cost of living, empowers local people, and improves the quality of life. Because true development is not measured by how fast an economy grows, but how well its people live. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Forbes. We're now moving on to our 10th speaker, Jim Fedson Sinflet.
make up for it. Thank you. So everyone, the question tonight is whether the TCI should... Say again? Oh, my bad. Okay. So tonight the question is whether the TCI should prioritize cost of living over rapid economic growth. And I stand before you today to say I reject the question. Or as my church people would say, I rebuke it. I resent frame of thought entirely, not because the question isn't relevant or because it's not factual to what the state of the Turks and Caicos is today, but rather because anyone who's asking me this question is in essence asking me if my Turks and Caicos Islands know how to walk and chew gum at the same time, right? And I resent that frame of thinking. I resent any frame of thinking that implies that our country, our citizens need to sacrifice to have. We don't have to look too far to see what happens when you decide to walk, but forget to chew your gum. For decades, Chile was a country that was considered America's success rate. Like Kenley said before, all the buzzwords used to come with it. Economic growth, pro-investment, stability. But one random day in 2019, when the government raised the price of metro fees by 30 pesos, the whole country went into an uproar. Millions in the street, thousands injured, dozens dead. And the reason behind this is because the government prioritized economic development, but underneath all the fluff and all the buzzwords, the people wasn't feeling it. That's what happened when you walk, but you forget to chew your gum. You reach where you was going, but your mouth still stink. So, let's look at one of their neighbors, El Salvador. El Salvador was the gun capital of the world in 2019. By 2024, the gun rate went down 95%. From 2,400 murders a year to just 114, a 95% cut. But that didn't mean they had to focus exclusively on crime for those 5 years. In actuality, they took a hard stance on their economy. They became the first country in the world to allow Bitcoin to serve as a legal tender in that same 5-year period. And while Chile, who forgot to chew the gum, was struggling after COVID, El Salvador almost tripled their tourism numbers from 1.4 million in 2019 to 3.9 million in 2024. So it's a simple lesson. If a government decides that they can prioritize economic development over cost of living, they might win some claps abroad, but they can lose our hearts at home, right? And so I bring it back to say I resent the question. Instead of asking silly questions like these, instead we should ask, how could we go about creating economic development that doesn't stop at the tourism industry up the road, but reach the dinner tables of the average Turks and Caicos Islanders down there? Thank you.
Order. Order in the Speaker's house, please. Thank you. My boy went so hard he forget his phone. Thank you, Mr. Sinclair. He was our last. Thank you, speakers, for all your contributions. At this time, we're going to enjoy a selection from two wonderful artists, Ms. Sergina Altimus and Ms. Facia Diamond. Please give them a warm welcome as they take the stage.
Battery up here. I got batteries for this pack up here because this pack up here. So you're singing and she's playing. Okay. It's blinking red, so I need a battery change up here. Come. Double A, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I do. So, put it on. Sorry. All right. I want to probably put this. I don't know about that anything. Sorry. Put it in the pocket there. Put it in her pocket.
Can you hear me all? All right.
One.
Thank you.
One, two. In the meanwhile, good night, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I can't hear you. All right, all right, all right. So we will be performing an original song. When we wrote this song, we really thought about the state that our country is in and the struggles that each individual person can go through. And so I truly believe and I hope that this song can minister to you guys and that it gives us all encouragement as young people to help the country grow and to develop and to shine.
One.
Every day is the same on rewind like a record player. Time stands still like a wolf on a lonely hill. Now I'm standing here today, one step away. Yeah, when you fall, don't give up as the moon bows out to dawn. Don't be sad, the sun will rise, then you'll shine. When your hope is running thin and the night is closing in, don't be sad, the sun will rise, then you'll shine, 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 shine. Shine, 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 shine. Every heart starts to change. Feel a spark inside the pain. To the dark, I can see there's a light reaching out to me. Now I'm closer than before. One step more. When you fall, don't give up as the moon bows out to dawn. Don't be sad, the sun will rise, then you'll shine. When your hope is running thin and the night is closing in, don't be sad, the sun will rise, then you'll shine, 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 shine. Shine, 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 shine. Shine, 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 shine. Shine, 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 shine. When you're lost and feeling low and you don't know where to go, don't be sad, the sun will rise, then you'll shine. When your hope is running thin and the night is closing in, don't be sad, the sun will rise, then you'll shine. Shine, shine. Sing with us, sing with us, sing with us. Shine. Again. Shine. No matter the obstacle, you will shine. You are powerful, you will shine. Your destiny's calling you, you will shine. I can't hear you. Shine. No matter the obstacle, you will. You are powerful, you will. Keep it going. Your destiny's calling you, you will. Shine. You will shine.
Thank you for that wonderful selection, Ms. Sergina Alcimus and Ms. Phasia Diamond. We will shine tonight. I'm going to call on our speakers, but before I do that, we're going to remind you of today's topic. Should the Turks and Caicos Islands prioritize controlling the cost of living over rapid economic growth? Speakers 11 through 15. Are you ready? Anthony Gardner Jr., Kavatia Ramadar, Selena Grant, Gracenique Harvey, Antoine H.F. Walker. Oh, Mr. Gardner. Speaker 11 to the podium, please.
Good evening, everyone. The question before us today is this: should the Turks and Caicos Islands prioritize rapid economic growth over controlling the cost of living? And to that, I say this: we must not choose one over the other. Instead, we must continue to grow our economy while simultaneously taking steps to control the rising cost of living for our people. Because growth without affordability leaves citizens astray, while controlling costs without growth limits opportunity. Within the span of a single generation, the Turks and Caicos Islands has managed to transform themselves from an economy heavily reliant on farming, fishing, and salt production to one of the highest income nations in the world. If we take a look at our British overseas brothers and sisters in the Cayman Islands, Bermuda, and the British Virgin Islands, we'll see that they made strategic decisions that has over time led to their nations being some of the global leaders in offshore finance. We too can utilize our status as an English-speaking tax haven that follows the British common law legal system to become one of the major offshore financial districts of the region and perhaps the world. Our favorable geographical position places us less than 600 miles away from the world's largest economy, in conjunction with the world's reserve currency, the USD, being our reserve currency. Let's imagine a Turks and Caicos Islands where high-income earners not only come here to relax on our shores, but also choose to store their wealth in our nation as a leading jurisdiction in wealth management. Let me be clear, this decision to diversify our economy should not come at an expense to our people. We must ensure that financial institutions that choose to set up shop within the country provides internship opportunities and scholarships to encourage a new generation of Turks Islanders that does not only benefit from this economic transitioning, but are at the forefront of it. To alleviate the rising cost of living within the country, The government can help local farmers with subsidies to reduce the dependency on local imports so that everyday costs become more manageable for ordinary citizens. By diversifying our economy, investing in our people, the Turks and Caicos Islands can build a future where no one is left behind. Thank you, and may God bless these Turks and Caicos Islands.
Thank you, Speaker number 11. I'm going to call on Speaker number 12, Ms. Kavatia Ramadan.
Two old college friends sit at a restaurant. They come from neighboring countries of Conclan and Bambara. Conclan's economy is booming. Every year, politicians proudly announce the country's GDP has grown another 8%. New skyscrapers fill the capital, and foreign investors continue to pour in money. Bambara grows slowly. Its economy expanded 2% last year. There were fewer flashy headlines calling it an economic miracle. Levi lives in Conclan, and Sasha lives in Bambara. Levi arrived to dinner in a shiny new car, but halfway through dinner he admitted he was exhausted. His rent had doubled in 5 years. Groceries cost so much he skipped meals sometimes. He worked 2 jobs and still carried debt. Even with annual raises, everything around him became more expensive faster than his income grew. Sasha, on the other hand, earns less money on paper than Levi does, but her apartment was affordable, public transportation was cheap, healthcare costs were manageable, and she could save a little each month. She had time to visit family, take vacations, and even plan for the future without constant anxiety. As they talked, Levi laughed bitterly and said, "Our economy keeps growing, but my life keeps shrinking." Today I rise to answer a question that affects every household within the Turks and Caicos Islands. Should the Turks and Caicos Islands prioritize controlling the cost of living over rapid economic growth? Addressing the question at hand, I will accept certain statements as facts. Fact: economic growth is important. Fact: cost of living should priority in any progressive, successful island. But let me be clear as to the operative words of the question. Should cost of living rank as a priority over rapid economic growth? To this I answer, rapid economic growth means very little to the people of a country if they cannot afford to live in the very economy they are helping to build. A country can grow rich while its citizens struggle to pay rent. But if ordinary people can afford housing, food care, even modest growth can feel like prosperity. This begs the people, or do the people merely exist to support the economy? Ladies and gentlemen, I will leave you with the words of the late Dr. Eric Williams. He says, "It is our earnest hope for mankind that while we gain the moon, we do not lose the world." Take from that what you will, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Speaker number 12. We now call on Speaker number 13, Ms. Selena Grant.
Good evening, everyone. What truly makes a country? Is it the hotels, the luxury villas, tourism statistics, or is it the people? Tonight, I stand firmly in support of the motion that Turks and Caicos should prioritize the cost of living over economic growth. The people are the workforce, the families, the communities, and the future. So if the people in this country are struggling to survive in the very place they call home, then can't we say that the country is thriving? We constantly hear about economic growth, booming tourism, and expanding developments. Turks and Caicos welcomes nearly 2 million visitors and generated an economy worth approximately $1.7 billion last year. Yet, despite all this growth, many locals are asking one simple question. If the country is doing so well, why are the people struggling so badly? Because growth means nothing if the people cannot feel it. Minimum wage in Turks and Caicos sits around $8 an hour, while rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Providenciales Islands can easily cost between $1,200 and $2,000 a month. So how does one survive when their paychecks disappears before groceries, electricity, transportation, or water can even be considered? That is not economic success, that is economic suffocation. As a young adult, I understand this reality personally. Many of us now need roommates just to afford rent, while others remain at home because moving out is financially unrealistic. Many Turks and Caicos Islanders now feel like they are being priced out of their own home. And nothing hurts people more than feeling like strangers in the place they were born. Let me be clear. This is not an argument against tourism, investment, or economic growth. Those things matter. But growth without affordability creates inequality, and development that excludes the people is not sustainable. That means addressing rental inflation, strengthening housing regulations, creating real pathways for young Turks and Caicos Islanders to own homes and land in their own country. Across the Caribbean, countries like Barbados have introduced affordable housing initiatives and first-time homeowner support programs to help proper citizens from being priced out of their own communities. Turks and Caicos must be willing to prioritize its people in the same way, because economic growth should not only be visible in tourism reports, it should be felt in the daily lives of ordinary people. Can people afford housing? Can adults build stable futures? Can ordinary families breathe financially without constant anxiety? If the answer is no, then the country is not truly progressing. The people of Turks and Caicos deserve more than survival. They deserve dignity, stability, opportunity, affordability, and peace of mind. Because the true wealth of a nation is not measured by resorts or revenue, it is measured by the well-being of the people. And until the people of Turks and Caicos can comfortably afford to live in the country they call home, cost of living must come before.
Ms. Grant, they cut the mic on you. Calling speaker number 14, Sanique Harvey, to the podium.
Before I begin, I'd like to clarify, my name is Grace Aniqua, so Grace Aniqua Harvey. Yeah, it's okay, it happens all the time. Okay, ready? Good evening, everyone. Allow me to paint a picture of the Turks and Caicos Islands as we know it today. A country known around the world for its beautiful beaches, luxury resorts, and growing tourism industry. Across our islands, development continues to rise, and the Turks and Caicos Islands have become a global luxury destination. But while the country continues to grow, many of the very people that are many of the very people who keep this country running are struggling to afford groceries, rent, electricity, and gas. That is not imagination. That is the reality our in the Turks and Caicos experience today. Now let me be clear, I am not against economic growth or development. Tourism has created opportunities and helped strengthen our economy. But the question is, are we growing in a way that it truly improves the lives of our people? Psychologist Abraham Maslow once explained that people who thrive, for people to thrive, basic needs must be met on his hierarchy of needs. Food, shelter, safety, stability must first be secured. So how can we expect our people to fully benefit from national development when many are still struggling to secure the very basics? Because while development rapidly grows, so does the cost of living. House prices are rising faster than wages. Infrastructure struggles to keep up, and inequality grows between the luxury tourist experience and the reality many of our locals face. A country cannot truly grow if people are constantly surviving instead of living. This is why we must focus not only on developing tourism, but also on developing our people alongside it. While Turks and Caicos has begun to already create opportunities through youth programs, scholarships, workforce training, and support for small businesses, the real challenge is in making sure these systems continue to grow stronger and stand the test of time. Because when programs are preserved and improved consistently, emphasis on consistently, we stop constantly rebuilding and begin creating a system future generations can trust because they have already been proven to work. Because true success should not only be measured by economic growth, but by whether the people of this country can live with dignity, stability, and hope for the future. Economic growth should serve the people and not leave them struggling in the very country that they helped build. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Graceniqua Harvey. We now call on speaker number 15, Mr. Antoine Walken.
Good evening, everyone. Nations are not defined by the choices they make when times are easy. They are defined by the choices they make at a crossroads with their future. And we in the Turks and Caicos are at such a crossroads. Furthermore, the decisions that shape nations are rarely about choosing between what is needed or necessary. They are about having vision clear enough to understand that two priorities can and must coexist. The question before us tonight is whether or not the Turks and Caicos should prioritize controlling the cost of living over economic growth. But I believe that framing is too simplistic for a decision that would shape the fate of these islands. For a country like ours, these goals should not compete with each other. They should work together. We are no longer a country trying to survive. We are a country determining what kind of future we want to build. As a small island developing state, we must continue positioning ourselves for self-determination, resilience, and sustainability. That requires an economy strong enough to support our people while ensuring that citizens can afford to live with dignity in the country that they call home. Right now, John Kaya is so much more than a song in the Turks and Caicos. He's taken the epitome of the man that is beating us left and right with no clear vision forward for our people. Too often our discussions surrounding economic development have become entirely synonymous with tourism development. Tourism has undoubtedly driven our country for decades. It has created jobs, attracted investment, and placed our islands on the global stage. But a wise nation does not build its future upon a single pillar. Stop with me for a moment and imagine a Turks and Caicos that produces its own food. Imagine empowering our local farmers, modernizing agricultural systems, creating opportunities for young entrepreneurs, and strengthening food security. Such an investment would create jobs, develop export potential, and circulate more money than we could even dream in our local economy. Ordinary families benefiting. That is economic development, but it is also cost of living relief. A strong economy is what enables a government to invest in healthcare, education, infrastructure, and subsidies. The cost of living cannot sustainably be reduced through promises, slogans, or temporary fixes. We cannot subsidize weakness forever. We must build strength as a nation. The goal should not only be smart growth, but inclusive growth and sustainable growth. Growth that feeds our people, growth that creates ownership, growth that strengthens national resilience and gives people a greater control over their personal economic futures. You see, true national development is not measured solely by the number of resorts we build or the size of our economy on paper. It is measured by whether the people of this country can afford to live, thrive, and dream within the nation that they call home. What will our country be in the version of the independent future I envision? A Turks and Caicos, where the mothers in Blue Hills and the fathers in Bottle Creek can sleep with their flag in a Turks and Caicos where the mothers in Blue Hills and the fathers.
Speakers in the audience, he's still on my time. He went well beyond the few seconds we afforded to everybody. You can run the tape, it's live. All right? Thank you so much for all the speakers that have contributed today. As you can see, we are all very passionate and want to be heard, but the rules are the rules. We are going to open up the audience. We want to hear from you. But take a little recap of what the speaker said. Ms. Adams said that the question is outdated and gave great examples of the changes the government is making to provide a balanced growth. Ms. Prevail and Ms. Morris said not enough is being done. So what can we do that is more? Mr. Sinclair, I know you all remember him, he said we need to learn to walk and chew gum at the same time. Mr. Rigby made it clear that a strong economy is essential to every social program and opportunity many of the speakers were calling for. So today I ask, where do you all stand? I'm going to take the time to invite our speakers off the stage, and then Ms. Lightbourne is going to be asking anyone in the audience if they would like to make a statement. Thank you.
Yes,
Audience,
so just
don't be shy.
Open for remarks. Anyone wants to come up and say something real quickly, whether it's directly on topic or in a related setting, we open this forum to you now. We're taking at least 5 people. We're limited to 5 people to come up and give their comments.
Oh, see, that's why I like people. You're also accommodating. Good evening, everyone. Apologies for not being able to jump up and stand. If you've been following me on Instagram, and I've been slacking, so I got the new job of posting regularly. I had total knee replacement, so I'm a bionic knee person. I'm only 8 weeks in. I'm supposed to be home in my bed, icing my knee, but President Missick called and told me about the event, and I said, I'm going to do my best to come. And I am so happy that I did. I want to congratulate all the speakers. You could tell thought, time, attention was put into your presentation. For the cheeky ones who went well beyond their time, cheeky very much, I want to remind you that the challenge was 3 minutes. You had to come up with a thought, address the question, and present your idea, and end with inspiration. That was the challenge, to do it in 3 minutes. I want to say to Ms. Adams, I'm going to get in trouble for calling names, but so be it. I'm a rebel in my own right. Ms. Adams, Mr. Gardner, Jim, and Judah, and I believe it was the last lady, Harvey, who spoke. If we could have drilled down a little bit further on your presentations where you didn't give the fluff about what Turks and Caicos is and where we are in society today, because we all know the cost of living is uncontrollable for whatever reason, whether it's economic growth development or selfish people, because most of us who rent apartments rent them from people who look and sound like us. But how do we tell them that they can't set a rental rate for their unit when they have mortgage, insurance, and other responsibilities? So it's really about how do you strike that balance. Of course, as a politician, I would say, we are going to put price controls in. 1-bedroom apartments will not be over $800. But then I have the persons who own the apartments who are very much Turks and Caicos Islanders saying, but my mortgage per month for that unit is $1,100. So you see the challenge of having to come up with solutions to balance these difficulties, but nonetheless solutions indeed. So I believe it was Ms. Adams who really set out this administration, past and present, goals of introducing the mortgage corporation to have more Turks and Caicos Islanders have an opportunity to own a home. But I want us to take it back a step when it comes to housing. And I think I really feel it because I am back in a situation where my mother and my nephew and I are living in one house, and that's that multi-generational living that we grew up with when Honorable Jamel and I were younger, because somehow we were told that we should all be out there on our own. So even though I have historically over the last 15 years lived on my own, because of my injury, my mother has moved into the house so that she could help take care of me. And my nephew is home from university, and he's living in the home. When I deposited his first paycheck today from the resort that he's working at, and he was paid $910 for 1 month worth of work. Lord have mercy. Only thing I could say was the Fortis bill last month, or the Pelican bill last month, was $460. Thank God he's living in a multi-generational home where he doesn't have to worry about rent and mortgage. The accommodation is provided for him. His transportation, new Minister of Public Transportation, is $200 a month just to get from our house to his job. He only brought home $910. So when I say I understand the challenge of the cost of living, it is in my home as well. But I want us to continue not just having these dialogues, but having the solutions come from you who are feeling it. Because it's easy to say, AK, you all need to set price control on IGA's food. Okay, IGA buys from a supplier, ships it to Turks and Caicos, pay whatever shipping company they have to bring it in, truck it from South Dock to IGA. All of those costs are programmed in that one apple that you want to buy today. And so there has to be a balance. But yes, Honorable Jamal and I have a lot of work to do. We are prepared for this work and this battle, and we are grateful for the open and honest approach to this challenge and debate that took place this evening. So well done, Rotaract Club of Providenciales. Kyle Smith and I are very proud of you as some of the original Rotaractors in the house, and I'm sure there's more in the room, but I can't find you. But I leave you with this question. Is it genuinely wrong that Kyle Smith exists and has the business that he has in hospitality? Do you think it's wrong that Creighton and Hillary Higgs exist? Do you think it's wrong that Ken and Abby exist? There are people too. They're giants in the industry. And they started with a dream, a goal, and maybe some opportunities were presented to them that we need to find another avenue to bring back to the forefront. But I'm rooting for everyone that's Turks Islander. So as long as they winning, I'm winning with them. But let's open the door for more opportunities so we can have more Kyle Smiths, more Ken and Abbeys, more Creighton and Hillarys, Gillies and Altheas in this country, so that all of us can feel the motto that I live by when I signed up to be a politician in this country, that Turks and Caicos Islanders will retire in good health and with wealth in a safe and secure environment. Thank you.
Floor is open now to anyone else who wants to come up and make some remarks.
Good night, everybody. Well, as y'all know, my name is Jamal Malcolm. I am the Interact president, and honestly, I just want to thank all of y'all because, you know, economic growth, I really don't understand it a lot until I came here and I realized, I'm like, wait, they are making this easier for me to understand it. So I just want to thank all of y'all. Honestly, I just want to thank, I respect all of y'all. Y'all got my respect. I love y'all a lot. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ali Kavi. I work in tourism. I have a background in journalism, so I like to yap. But I like to congratulate all of the speakers tonight. You guys did a really good job tackling the topic. I would like to echo the statement by the Interact president. I by no means am an economist, but I can relate to the plight of the common person in the Turks and Caicos Islands who have dreams, who have aspirations, they have things that they want to do, right? And I think that it's a blessing that economic growth is even on the table, but if we're growing and if we're developing, then our people should be able to do the things that they have in mind, achieve the things that they want to do, and live the lives that they want to live within, the spectrum of everything that they have within them. And yeah, I think our people should just be able to dream. And I think that just creating that balance between economic development and affordability, as was stated by our panelists today, is important. Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
Would anyone else like to offer their thoughts before we go into our reflection and closing remarks? We're going to welcome Honorable Robinson to offer his final remarks.
Thank you. Good night, everyone, and congratulations to all 15 speakers. You were exceptional this evening. Give them a round of applause, please. Although I know Ms. Morris said she's a common person, nothing about her speech or any of your speeches were common this evening. So the only thing I would ask that all speakers do, because clearly 3 minutes is a short amount of time, so you have to craft your speech in a manner to be punchy, deliver solutions, and be concise within the time limit. And I'd actually like to thank the timekeeper for keeping everybody on point, because I thought we were going to be here till like 10 o'clock tonight. But he kept the flow. Is continue to develop your ideas a bit more, create a summary or a document as a part of this first Youth Tribunal, and present it to the government with all of the various solutions. There was some overlap, yes, but tease it out a little bit more and have it as 15 separate chapters that we could actually look at and see what we can actually implement. Because it's one thing to create awareness, but you have to move from awareness to implementation. And you have two senior government members, literally number 2 and number 3 in the government, sitting in your room today, because number 1 is abroad. So use this opportunity to take your 3-minute speech, make that a proper chapter, tease out your ideas even further, and just present it. And every time you do this, do it again, because there's other topics. This might be focused on economics, so that's probably the Ministry of Finance. The next time you might have something on transportation. You have the Minister of Home Affairs. You might have something on immigration and labor next time. You have myself here, and across all specters of government. So again, congratulations, and maximize this opportunity. Thank you. Good evening again, everyone. Firstly, I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of the speakers for participating. A lot of times you find that people, they hide behind fake accounts or free to speak your mind, and a lot of times they have some really valid points. And everyone is this is the most educated of a population Turks and Caicos have ever been. The government constantly empowers us on a yearly basis to go away and study and pursue higher learning. And we have expertise in a variety of different areas. However, a lot of times people are not confident enough to push their ideas or opinions forward. But what you guys did here was phenomenal. And I live by no one is better than us, people are just more prepared. And even with our Interact president, I encouraged him to come up. He was shaky a bit, but I'm so proud of him to being confident enough, because that's how you overcome your fears, from facing them, for participating. And this right here is Grants for Leadership Development. We already have it. We have the Director of Youth here. She's still a Rotaractor, but she's a Director of Youth. I'm the Juvenile Manager, and I'm a Rotaractor. So like AK said, millennials and the younger generations are at the forefront and leading the country. And we should paint this to a Turks and Caicos unlike ever before, with innovative ideas. We have the experience of traveling, going around the world. We have the experience and knowledge to see how governments work, how the average people live, and how systems are impacting people who are living on a day-to-day basis. So it's important for us to be more involved with these groups like Rotaract. And I thank the community for coming out and also watching online. That gives us a great level of encouragement. As a nonprofit organization, it's extremely difficult. We barely gain revenue, and to put on an event like this, we have to thank our sponsors and everyone who lent a helping hand. I would say again, a big thank you. And with these youth that I have the opportunity to work with on a daily basis, I'm confident that Turks and Caicos is on a great path and the best yet to come. Thank you.
I would like to make to our government officials, and it's that I feel like the Turks and Caicos can benefit from having a container port, because I feel like, well, a lot of the issues is with shipping, and if we have a container port, it will remove the middleman. Say, for instance, people that are shipping from China, it has to go to the U.S. before it comes here. People that want to ship something from the Bahamas, it has to go to the U.S. before it comes here. So I think that we should really consider having a container port here in Turks and Caicos. Thank you.
We can probably take one more. Ice cream on the top of the cake. You coming? Yes. One more person.
Good night, everybody. Oh. Thank you. Okay, so obviously my knowledge is not as substantial as everybody else's in the room. It's growing every day, but just like every day my knowledge is growing, I think that really the root of the problem is how fast our country is developing. I think we could adapt way quicker. We should adjust way more, because really and truly, isn't our poor planning the problem today? And the future is changing every day. So if we aren't, say we fix the problem, cost of living is way lower, the future is gonna just keep rising, as we can see. And if we're not adjusting and seeing new ways as we can continue to keep the ball rolling, we're gonna end up in the same spot where we are now. And this meeting will happen again, and we're gonna take like 3 more years to fix the problem. So, that's all I have to say.
I'd like to thank everyone from the audience for their contribution. It really shows that you guys are paying attention, and this event really made an impact on the way we're thinking. As we come to a close of the Youth Tribunal 2026, we reflect on the meaningful conversations, powerful insights, and inspiring contributions shared throughout today's proceedings. I would like to sincerely thank all our speakers for sharing your perspectives so passionately and reminding us the power of young people to create positive change. A special thanks to the Rotaract Club, the organizing committee, coordinators, volunteers, and support teams whose hard work has made this event possible. We are truly grateful for your dedication. To the honorables and members of the public service, thank you. To all participants and attendees, thank you for your engagement and support. Your presence proves that our young people are not only invested in the future, but are ready to help shape it. As we leave here today, let us remember that youth voices matter. It is our hope that the conversation started here will continue in our schools, in our communities, and across our entire nation. On behalf of the Rotaract Club, thank you all for attending and supporting this initiative. At this time, I'm going to invite our event coordinator, Ms. Kristen A. Lewis, the wonderful woman behind this event, to give final remarks and lead us into the good food and drinks.
Thank you, Wanda, and good evening, everyone. As we bring tonight's Youth Tribunal to a close, I would like to extend sincere gratitude to every individual and organization who contributed to making this event possible. First and foremost, thank you to our speakers. Your courage, preparation, your insights, and your willingness to engage in meaningful dialogue on a critical issue affecting our youth and the wider community brought depth, honesty, and purpose to this evening's conversation. To our wonderful moderator, our timekeeper, our volunteers, the production team, the coordination team, thank you for your professionalism, dedication, and your hard work behind the scenes. Please know that your efforts do not go unnoticed. We also extend heartfelt appreciation to our partners and sponsors whose support helps bring this vision to life. Specifically, we extend our thanks to Mr. Kyle Smith, Mr. Tuden Williams and the Reagan Scrape Festival, Azure Luxury Transfers, and Mr. Dexter Williams of MasterTech. Thank you for believing in the importance of youth engagement, civic dialogue, and community development. Special thanks as well to Business Solutions for printing our event graphics and materials, helping us bring a polished and professional visual presentation to tonight's program. We also extend sincere thanks to Ms. Tawana Kennedy for her assistance with tonight's decor and event setup. Finally, we are deeply grateful to the Salvation Army for providing the venue and supporting the successful hosting of this event. To Open Thought Communications and Silverside Productions, thank you for your production support and assistance in helping us execute tonight's program with excellence. To the Rotaract Club of Providenciales, thank you for your leadership, initiative, and commitment to creating spaces that empower young people to speak, lead, and participate. And finally, to our audience and our guests, thank you for your presence, your attentiveness, and your respectful engagement throughout this evening. Your participation is what gives this forum meaning and gives this forum impact. We hope that tonight's discussion don't just stop in this room. We hope that it encourages continued conversation, thoughtful reflections, and meaningful action beyond the walls of this room. Thank you all once again for being a part of the 2026 Youth Tribunal. Have a safe and wonderful evening. As you leave, we have some commemorative pins to mark the first ever Youth Tribunal available on the table in the foyer, so please feel free to collect one as you leave. Thank you so much for coming, and I'll turn back over to Wanda to close us out for the evening. Thank you all.
I'm not sure why she gave me back this mic, but thank you again for coming. Refreshments are available at the back of the room. Networking and photos may follow in the corridor. Thank you, guys.
One thing is certain about it. Only the people have the power to stop it as a whole. Some of you may say, well, why should anyone want to stop hatred or fear or even bloodshed. Well, you just got to stop and check yourself out and how you look at your neighbor, your brother, your sister, your fellow worker. And if you don't get the answer from your own experience, then look further and see how the next person is looking at another. And I'm sure you'll get the message.
The revolution wasn't televised in the 60s. Is it going to be televised in the 90s?
Well, you know, the catchphrase, what that was all about, the revolution will not be televised, that was about the fact that the first change that takes place is in your mind. You have to change your mind before you change the way you live and the way you move. So when we said that the revolution will not be televised, we were saying that, like, that the thing that's going to change people is something that no one will ever be able to capture on film. It'll just be something that you see, and all of a sudden you realize, I'm on the wrong page. Or I'm on the right page, but I'm on the wrong note. And I've got to get in sync with everyone else to understand what's happening in this country.